DC has a lot of good live-action shows, for the most part. As much as I love the Arrowverse, many have criticized its lack of quality and subpar writing that couldn't support the long, drawn-out seasons. This was especially an issue in the latter seasons of the Arrowverse. Even though Marvel's Netflix shows weren't the most entertaining, they had good writing, mostly. So today, we're gonna imagine a world where Marvel and DC swap places in outside media. Many characters of the Arrowverse would get their own shows. This is What If Netflix Made DC Shows? Releasing in 2015 is the counterpart to Daredevil Season 1, Green Arrow Season 1. The show opens up with Oliver being rescued off the island. A year later, he talks to a psychiatrist about his time on the island, being very vague, mentioning things he had to do in order to survive. Later, at the docks, some criminals attempt to traffic women overseas, but Oliver jumps in, fighting the criminals with his bow. The next day, Oliver and his partner, Daggett, purchase a building for Queen Consolidated. They are the co-CEOs. We learn that Stark County was ground zero for an incident known as the Flood. I'll let you guys infer that one. The building was minimally affected. The counterpart to Karen is Roy Harper, a young construction worker. When a coworker of his discovers the funds, she gives the pension share to him, and she's killed. The sort of counterpart to Foggy Nelson is Daggett, serving as Oliver's partner, but also Laurel Lance, Oliver's childhood friend, would sort of be the counterpart to Foggy Nelson. She'd be a lawyer, so she'd facilitate a lot of the legal drama that was featured on Daredevil. She becomes Roy's lawyer after he's accused of killing his coworker. The counterpart to the Russians are the Bratva, led by Vladimir and Anatoly Knyzev. The counterpart to Madame Gao is China White, leading the Chinese heroin operation. The counterpart to Nobu is a mysterious man named Merlin, who works with William Tachman, the counterpart to Leland Owsley. After being saved by the vigilante, referred to by the criminals jokingly as Robin Hood, later shortened to the Hood, Roy becomes Laurel's assistant and continues to investigate the people behind the Union Allied scandal. After the Bratva kidnaps a boy and ambushes Oliver, he's patched up by Nurse Caitlin Snow, the counterpart to Claire. As sort of a counterpart to Matt's abilities, Oliver demonstrates ingenuity when creating a makeshift bow and other improvised weapons out of materials in Caitlin's house. We learned that Oliver's father was killed by criminals when he was young, and that Daggett's father took over the business while he was a child. He later becomes the CEO along with Daggett of Queen Consolidated. The flashbacks show Oliver as a young adult who's reckless and a partier, leading up to Oliver being shipwrecked on the island. To keep the show grounded, Oliver being stranded on the island caused Queen Consolidated to have financial problems, so he'd often run out of arrows for the first season, and he would mainly use traditional arrows. And Oliver wouldn't be as good of a hand-to-hand fighter like he was in the original series. The Hood finds out that the mastermind behind all of this is Danny Brickwell. The counterpart to Vanessa would be Carrie Cutter, the identity of the supervillain Cupid, but she won't become the supervillain she would only be Brick's obsessive love interest. The same stuff happens with the Bratva and Brick, as did the Russians and Kingpin, leading to the Hood being framed for the bombing and his partner Daggett's death. The media dubs him the Arrow. The Arrow gets information from Vladimir, learning that the person who runs Brick's money is William Tachman. Through an investigation using Queen Consolidated, he learns that the money is stored in a bank called the Ninth Circle, being run by Merlin. This is where he encounters Yao Fei, the counterpart to Stick, who's hunting Merlin because of a weapon known as the Demon's Head that he's transporting into the city. Through flashbacks, we learn that Yao Fei trained Ollie on the island, and together they brought down a slave trade. At the end of the episode, Yao Fei gets Oliver with his longbow. Oliver talks to his psychiatrist as Matt talks to Father Landum about his struggles, questioning whether he should kill Brick, who's proven to be beyond the law. Brick tasks Merlin with bringing down the Arrow. Merlin badly injures Oliver, but he's killed during the fight. It all being a ploy for Brick to take down two of his enemies, especially Merlin, who questioned his authority. Roy and Laurel continue investigating and providing info to the Arrow. After showing up to Ollie's apartment, she learns his identity. meeting with Caitlin Snow to tend to his wounds. Eventually, Roy is caught by Brick's assistant, but he kills him and escapes. Brick also kills a reporter who was in contact with Roy. After being badly injured again, Oliver gets a suit made by Aminette Black, the counterpart to Melvin Potter, who Brick forced to create his armor. Equipped with a compound bow and explosives, Oliver takes down Brick, and the news dub him the Green Arrow. The counterpart to Jessica Jones Season 1 is Dinah Drake Season 1. Dinah is a bartender and a performer in a nightclub. When a girl goes missing, Dinah's past comes back to hunt her. The counterpart to Kilgrave would have to be someone who could force people to do their bidding. I was thinking of someone who was an enemy to Black Canary and Green Arrow. Like how Purple Man was originally an enemy of Daredevil, but later became Jessica's arch-enemy. So I went with the villain who was originally an enemy of Black Canary, but later became one of Green Arrow's biggest villains. That villain is Count Vertigo. Dinah had a brief career as the hero Black Canary, but encountered Vertigo's powers, who disrupted her usage of the Canary Cry and forced her to commit unspeakable acts. The counterpart to Trish is Yolanda Montez, who won't be a superhero in this, just like how Patsy won't be Hellcat. The counterpart to Malcolm is Sin, who would work for Vertigo because of his dangerous powers and his threat to her family. Later breaking free and helping Dinah, Vertigo would induce vertigo on people, but he'd have to be in rage, like Kilgrave's mind control, and until they do what he wants, he won't stop. At one point, Vertigo manipulates ex-military police officer Ben Lockwood, the counterpart to Simpson, and just like Simpson, he breaks free from his control, joining Dinah. But a drug provided by the mysterious checkmate causes him to spiral out of control, eventually attacking Yolanda. Eventually, we learn that Vertigo got his powers when his parents experimented on him to cure his unwavering sense of vertigo. And finally, Dinah defeats Vertigo, killing him with the Canary Cry. Also, Green Arrow would appear in this series somehow. Next is Green Arrow Season 2. A mysterious man massacres the Bernelli crime family and kills many cartel members. He attempts to kill a client Laura was protecting when Green Arrow steps in. Later, he goes after the counterpart to the Dogs of Hell, the Seattle Cobras. Roy learns that this man is Adrian Chase, a former Marine whose family was killed during a shootout between the three gangs. Throughout the season, he has his trial, goes to prison, and gets info through Brick, discovering that his old general Wade Eiling, the counterpart to Blacksmith, was involved with his family's death. Along the way, Roy Harper helps him as a counterpart to Karen. Oliver would consult his psychiatrist throughout the season with his struggles with Vigilante and the counterpart to Elektra, Shadow, Ollie's old fling from the island, who informs Oliver that his company is being taken over by the British mob, which Green Arrow previously took down, led by Merlin. They eventually discover that Merlin is still alive and is a member of the League of Shadows and was revived via Lazarus Pit. Merlin actually had Oliver's father killed when he threatened to expose the Ninth Circle. Merlin was a part of Queen Consolidated. Yao Fei gets involved, and eventually we learn that Shadow is the heir to the demon, prophesized to lead the League of Shadows, but she sides with Arrow and Yao Fei. For the final battle, Aminette Black creates a grappling arrow for Green Arrow, the counterpart to the Billy Clubs. In the end, Shadow's killed, they defeat Merlin's men, and Yao Fei kills Merlin himself. In the final scene, Oliver reveals his identity to Roy. And in the post-credit scene, Shadow's grave is digged up by members of the Shadows. The counterpart to Luke Cage is Black Lightning. It would be similar to the real show. It starts off with Jefferson, like Cage, reluctant to be a hero until one of his students is killed after stealing money from the 100. Jefferson goes after the 100 led by Tobias, the counterpart to Cottonmouth, joined by Lady Eve, the counterpart to Mariah. But 5 episodes in, he's killed and the main villain is Painkiller, a super strong criminal who can anesthetize his victims. He can basically render people unconscious, but also take his henchman's ability to feel pain away. We see Jefferson badly beaten, and of course Caitlin Snow is there to mend his wounds. On top of that, Lady Eve frames Jefferson for the murder of Tobias Whale. Jefferson is pursued by the counterpart to Misty Knight, Detective Renea Montoya. We later learn that Painkiller and Black Lightning were once friends, a part of the street gang nicknamed the Royal Family. It's later revealed that Alvin Pierce and Painkiller's mother had an affair. so the two are brothers. Throughout the show, we see the recurring lackey Sonoid, the counterpart to Shades. Finally, in the finale, Black Lightning defeats Painkiller and clears his name. The counterpart to Iron Fist is Richard Dragon. The show opens with a convict known as Richard Dragonovsky, who was recently released from prison. He tries to meet up with an old gang, mentioning someone named Sensei, but Sensei is dead and the gang never heard of Richard. Through flashbacks, we learn as a child, Richard's parents were killed and he was taken under the wing of Sensei. He joined the gang, but they were not criminals, they just protected the neighborhood. In the present, Richard proves himself to be loyal to the gang, discovering that the League of Shadows had infiltrated them. He utilizes a mysterious energy force to focus his mind, demonstrating expert martial arts skills, using this to dispatch of the traitors. Further flashbacks show that Sensei taught him and his friend Ben Turner, the counterparts of Davos, martial arts. Eventually, he and Turner are caught by the secret agency Checkmate, and in return for an early release, they are tasked to infiltrate the League of Shadows, where they are given the names Dragon and Tiger, and further trained with weapons. After the mission goes sideways and they're discovered to be moles, they take the fall for the operation and are imprisoned. Richard stole a mystical talisman from the shadows called the Dragon Claws, providing him the ability to manipulate his chi. Along the way, he meets Onyx, an African martial artist who aids him. They also find out about Sensei's revival by the League of Shadows. China White, the counterpart to Madame Gao, is the one who infiltrated them, and Richard believes she killed his parents. With the help of Onyx Master, Baron Ryder, the counterpart to Bakudo, and Ben, who returned to help Richard, they capture China White, and eventually discover that Onyx is also part of the League of Shadows, so is Ryder. China White was acting against the Shadows' interests, which is why they imprisoned her. Onyx betrays them and sides with Richard and Ben. They defeat Ryder, but he escapes. Ben leaves disagreeing with Richard's methods. Finally, Sensei himself is revealed to be actually a part of the Shadows and had Richard's parents killed. He was supposed to be groomed to join the Shadows, which is why Checkmate recruited him for the infiltration. With the help of the gang, they kill Sensei. Richard takes the fall for his gang's murder and is once again imprisoned. Onyx visits him in prison, promising to continue the mission to destroy the Shadows. In the post-credit scene, Baron Ryder retrieves Sensei's body. The counterpart to the Defenders will be a team that shares a name but bears no resemblance to their comic book counterparts. This is the Challengers based on the Challengers of the Unknown. The series opens with Onyx hunting down members of the League of Shadows, discovering that they have plans in New York. Speaking of New York, Caitlin Snow helps get Richard out of prison, using connections with Laurel to advocate for his freedom. Onyx arrives, informing Richard of her encounter with the Shadows. The Shadows are led by Ebenezer Dark, who revived Shadow, grooming her to be his successor and to lead the Shadows in their last days. The rest of the leaders are the Demon Limbs, consisting of China White, Sensei, Baron Ryder, and Lady Shiva, who Merlin worked for. Ryder recruits kids to clean up their battles with Leviathan, the organization that Yao Fei led. Black Lightning tracks him down because many kids in the schools are being recruited. He encounters Richard and Onyx attacking the students, believing them to be Shadow members. Richard is able to penetrate Black Lightning's suit using his chi, but they sort things out thanks to Caitlin agreeing to work together. Dinah Drake is approached by a woman whose husband is missing. She heard how Dinah found those missing people, and the same things happen just like in the Defenders. Oliver tracks down the League of Shadows using his company and confronts them, just like how Danny did. Richard and Black Lightning use his electrical powers to find the building just as the fight breaks out, and Dinah gets there, battling Ebenezer Dark's henchmen. Then, Shadow is able to solo them because of an extra dosage of the Lazarus waters than normal. The group escapes and hides out. Yao Fei finds them and explains everything to the Four, that the League want Richard because he's apparently the key to something. The Shadows infiltrate, and during the fight, Dinah captures Ryder, interrogating him. Green Arrow reveals his connections to Shadow. Meanwhile, the Shadow leaders argue amongst each other. Because of the revival of Shadow, they are vulnerable and need a Richard as a key to open a Lazarus pit. Eventually, Shadow finds them, capturing Richard, but not before killing Yao Fei. Shadow then kills Ebenezer, taking her place as the demon's head. It is revealed that Richard's talisman is what unlocks his gateway. In the end, the League is defeated and Oliver dies with Shadow. the post-credit scene, injured Oliver recovers an award. So, that's the video. I won't be doing all the other seasons, but I will do Green Arrow Season 3. So if you want to see that video, stay tuned.